Hey friends, welcome to week 4 of our 12 Keys, 12 Weeks series. If you're just joining us, I put a playlist down below in the comments so that you can check out those previous lessons that we've already gone through. If you're just joining us, there are also worksheets for absolutely free on my Patreon that go along with each of these lessons. And please hashtag your progress on whatever social media platform you're using so that we can follow each other and give each other virtual high fives as we go through all 12 keys on uke. So this week we are jumping up another perfect fifth to the key of A. Now if you recall, we had an F sharp and C sharp last week in the key of D, and those are going to maintain exactly the same. But to keep our intervals the same for a major scale, we're going to add one more sharp, and that is going to be a G sharp. Now you note if you look at the worksheet that this scale is twice as long as what we've been doing in the past, because we're going to add in a second octave of the major scale. Now, if you're astute, you'll note that the second octave of this goes straight up and down the A string, is a single string major scale. And we've already done a lesson on that, so I'm going to link that down below as well so you can get working on this second octave. Now, we're going to use octave displacement again, much as we did in G, to play this A major scale. Because we don't have quite the low notes unless you're playing a low G uke, then you can start on the 2nd fret and the 4th fret of your G string. But for those of us with high G, we'll be starting on our open A string, and then we'll play the 2nd fret, the B right there, and then we're going to drop down the octave. So we'll play a C sharp on the 1st fret of our C string, and then the D right next to that on the 2nd fret, and then we're going to play an open E, and then we have an F sharp on the 2nd fret of our E string. Now here's that new note. We have a G sharp for our 7th scale degree. This is going to be on the 4th fret of your E string, or you can play it on the 1st fret of your G string if you have high G. And then we'll be at our open A. And now we'll continue up that single string major scale. So you'll play an open A, and then we're going to play a B on the 2nd fret, much as we did in the beginning, but we'll play with our 1st finger this time. Then your ring finger will play the 4th fret, the C sharp on your A string. Your pinky will play the 5th fret, or D. And then we're going to slide our entire hand position up. So your 1st finger will play the 7th fret, that's an E right there. And then your F sharp on the 9th fret. And then we have another G sharp on the 11th fret. And then we're at our octave, the A. So you can walk that up and down to practice our major scale. But what's new this week that we're throwing in, since we don't just want to play scales and chords each week, is we're talking about campanella style playing. And this comes in when we get to our broken chord or arpeggio exercises. So campanella is a word that means little bell, and it comes from a Baroque guitar technique that was adapted to uke by John King. So what the concept behind this is that we're never going to play 2 consecutive notes on the same exact string. And we're going to let the notes ring as long as possible. Although they're all notated as quarter notes, we'll just let them ring out. And we'll get that sense of having a full chord by playing individual notes. It almost gives us the effect of playing a harp on this little instrument. So if you look at the broken chord exercise, we're starting on our A major chord, 2-1, open, open, and we're just rolling up our strings. So you want to keep all of those notes ringing. And then we're going up to a B minor chord, and this is a voicing you might not be familiar with. We're going to bar across the 2nd fret. We'll play the 4th fret on our G string, and then the 5th fret on our A string. It's just going to sound like this, but we'll arpeggiate the chords up and down. So we can hear that full B minor chord. And then as we go to C sharp minor, we're going to play the 1st fret on our G string and the 4th fret on our A string. So we're going to start on an open E, and then that G sharp. So we hear that C sharp minor chord. And then we're going to D, which we're going to use a bar chord voicing for. So bar across the 2nd fret of your strings, and then play your pinky or your ring finger on the 5th fret. And then we're going to play an E major chord, which no one likes at all. But we're going to use this same exact voicing. We're just going to slide it on up 2 frets, so we're anchored on the 4th fret, and then the pinky is on our 7th fret. And then we're down to an F sharp minor chord, which you might not be familiar with. But you can think of it as putting down a G 7th chord and just bumping it up 1 string. That's your F sharp minor. But we're going to add the C sharp on the 4th fret here for our arpeggio purposes. And then we're at G sharp diminished. So we're going to voice this. You'll bar across the 2nd fret and play the 4th fret on your G and E strings. And then we can just end on an A. So the goal with this exercise is to keep those notes playing for as long as possible so that we really hear the harmony, although we're only playing a melody. It's a very fun little trick. So down below on the worksheet, there are also all 7 chords that are used in this in root position voicings so that you have all your chords in A major accessible to you. I've also written a very simple arrangement in campanella style of the standard Trouble in Mind, which is one of my favorite tunes. So please give that a shot, like and subscribe, and join us next week as we move on up to the key of E. Cheers.